Our school system today, the goal of education is weeding kids out. Take this to the bank. No scientist or engineer does integrals and derivatives by hand in the workplace, but you will have to be excellent at that for 9 months in your junior or senior year. And I think it's time, and that's what we're hoping to do with this film, is to issue a strong call that says, let's start inspiring and engaging our kids and teaching them things that matter. My son was in a science class taking something on simple machines, and we got excited about it. So I took him out to the hardware store and we bought a bunch of things. We developed a bunch and put them together, and then, long story, but he was given a test and it said, what simple machine would you use to lift a grown man? And he sketched out a 6-pulley system, exactly how you do it, and it got a big red X, minus 17 points, lever. And you realized, I mean, I just said, my gosh, you know, like, I didn't care about a grade in 3rd grade, but you have a kid who says, I guess I'm not that good in science. You know, the difference between a question that is, what simple machine would you use, with an assumption that there's only one, is sheer stupidity. You know, I mean, I said to them, by the way, these kids are 3 foot 11 inches tall. Show me how they use a lever to lift a 200-pound man. I mean, it just doesn't happen. My experience in venture capital, where I found that the people that had the most impeccable academic track records often floundered in a world of innovation. They were very good at jumping through hoops. Those people that were academic superstars often didn't do well in that environment. And so you look at this and you say, my gosh, what if parents all over the country are pushing their kids to, quote unquote, excel at something that's actually going to hurt their chances in life later on? The growing realization that our school system is not the way it is by accident. It was designed thoughtfully 125 years ago, and ironically, it was designed to purge the creativity and innovation out of students. If a job is structured and routine, if it is following instructions, if it's doing the same thing over and over again, that job will not be done by a person. And I could never say it as well as Ken Jennings says it in our film, but what will happen when millions and millions of people have that aimless feeling of not being able to plug in and contribute to society? And I think that's something we should all be acutely focused on.
When I got this phone call and he mentioned the topic, it was, yes, I wanted to do it. And it was because I had both a son and a daughter that my wife and I were sensing that something was amiss, particularly with my daughter. And as it's illustrated in the film, she just said, I'm not buying it. So it was forcing my wife and I to really look at education, and we had a choice to make. We either had to take our daughter and bend her into the type of person that would do well in this traditional school that we had her, or we had to maybe re-examine traditional school. The guy who founded the school that we feature in our film, he used to teach carpentry to inner city kids, and he learned this interesting thing, that just almost by accident, that if these kids would see him building stuff, and there was a section of these kids that really became interested in learning how to build it, so he would teach them, and along the way he would have to give them some geometry in order to build it. And he noticed that they would retain it. They would willingly learn it. And then as they would go on, hey, maybe we're gonna build a table now, they would learn those, they would remember the basic concepts of geometry. And the reason why is because they could see an immediate application for it. And we've been taught by Linda Darling-Hammond and others who appear in our film that there's a different part of our brain where you store that knowledge when you can see immediately where it needs to be applied in your life. You see the usefulness of it in your life. This school takes 98% of their kids and they go to a 4-year college. That's impressive all by itself. But it's even made more impressive when you realize that 45% of the school's population is made up of kids that live below the poverty line.
What I really liked about this film, and I was really prepared to cringe because our schools are in it and I had not seen it until today, is that it restated what I've always hoped. It was that people would realize that the world doesn't need more high-tech eyes. The world needs more differentiated schools, and that's the key message, is that in an innovation economy, we really need some experimentation.
I think a number of people do want to make the world better, and so to me, as I thought about ways to do that, I feel like somebody that can do an outstanding documentary and really connect with people emotionally as well as logically could open a door and set a stage for real change and important social movement.